Hello everybody, welcome back to Tin Man Collections. And today I'll be doing another book reading video, and this time it's on the Bigfoot Tales Vol.1. And the title of this encounter is called The Thing Under the House. It's already got a spooky title, but anyway. By R.J. and Rosalind Sevin. So, without further ado, let's get on with it, shall we? For a while, the rain on the windows and the thunder rolling through the mountain air were the only sounds. I sat on the couch, my knees drawn to my chest. It's what you do in situations like this. You huddle or pace. Seth paced. I wanted him beside me, his arm around me again. He might have wanted the same, but he paced. He clutched the shotgun, and he walked back and forth, his work boots thumping on the hardwood floor, on the rug before the couch, hollow thumps. What the hell is it? I probably said the same thing 10, 20 times since the morning. I don't know. I wasn't counting. Seth stepped into the window, his face tight, raindrops fat as your thumb struck the glass. Thunder boomed. The thing under the house screamed. Okay, if there's something underneath my house, I'll be like packing my stuff and get out there. But anyway, it had been raining off and on all week. Light rain, nothing to get too worked up about. Friday evening, we drove Jacob to my mother's house. Mount Hope is about an hour away. 2 hours coming and going. The price we pay for quiet weekends, Jacob didn't mind. Mom had a giant screen TV and a PlayStation just for him. And probably a little too much chocolate. We were halfway home when the rain really started coming down. It sounded like 1,000 fingers rat-tatting on the roof of the truck. Yeah, we kind of creeped out too, but hearing a bunch of tatting noise. But anyway. Did you check the weather? Seth asked, clicking the wipers into high gear. We didn't have television. We had a TV, yes, but no signal, no cable. We had a DVD player and a VCR and quite a few movies, but there were no ideal channel surfing in our home. Another reason why Jacob loved moms. Yeah, I like watching movies on DVD and VCR, but you got to have the weather to see what's going on. Anyway, we got our news and weather from the internet. We had a laptop and a semi-reliable dial-up connection. And no, I hadn't checked the weather. When we got home, I did the forecast for more rain. There was no question as to whether or not a low pressure front was going to stall. That evening, as we lay together on the couch, the weather worsened. Went from heavy rain into all-out storming. Now the only question was when the damn thing would unstall. I called Mom and checked on Jacob. He was watching one of the Star Wars movies on his grandma's freaking enormous TV. Well, how enormous was it? Well, I mean, hey, I love Star Wars. That's a good one. I told him to watch his language, that it was almost bedtime. He told me freaking wasn't a curse word. To a certain extent, but anyway. Dad used to say it all the time. Furthermore, it was Friday. He didn't have to go to bed early Fridays. 10, I said, no later. Midnight. Are you crazy, young man? Oh, please, Mom. Jacob. The warning in my voice sounded more like restrained laughter. Please? The E was several miles long. 11. And that's final, okay? Okay. We swapped I love you yous and hugged up. Seth and I resumed laughing. The rain tapered off. Intensified, tapered again. We drank too much wine and made love like teenagers that fell asleep and slept in. We woke up at 8 in the morning. It was dark out, as dark as dawn and storming. I could tell by the look on Seth's face we were thinking the same thing. The roads. In weather like this, it's common for sections of the road to wash out. There was a lot of road between here and Mom's. Like our place, her house was built a few 100 feet uphill. Bearing a serious mudslide, they'd be fine. If they stayed put, we have to go get Jacob. He said, pulling on his pants and wiping the sleep from his eyes. He'll be fine. I said, trying and failing to ignore how worried I sounded. I'll call him. The line was dead. I pressed the button on the receiver a few times, and a habit I picked up from the movies. The line stayed dead. Yeah, I'll be scared to not be able to call nobody. But anyway, we looked at one another and sighed. 10 minutes later, wet and shivering, we drove down the dirt road leading from our property to 64, which led down into Pax and onto Mount Hope. I adjusted the heat, wiped my arms and hair with fast food napkins from the glove box. Rain pelted the windshield. The wipers couldn't keep up. We crept along. The world outside the truck was a gray smear. We didn't get far. Mud and debris blocked both lanes. The road might not have been washed away beneath it. We turned around. He's going to be fine, I said. Yeah, Seth said, one hand on the wheel, the other kneeling, his eyes into the back of his skull. Too much wine. Well, you shouldn't be driving. Good Lordy. For the rest of the crawl uphill, neither of us spoke. The truck rocked. The back tires lost traction a few times and kicked up dark fans of mud. The rear end fishtailed. The road leading to our property was steep and winding. Trees clustered on either side. Thunder ripped a hole in the sky. I winced. We reached the yard, and I released the breath I'd held forever. I eased up on the door handle. The yard was a very level shelf on the side of the hill, large enough to hold a shed, a picnic table, and the truck. The steep incline continued. Our house loomed, the front half perched upon pylons 10 feet above the ground. The back half scooted right up against the hill. We stepped into the rain. It stung my face and arms. The sky churred. Lightning struck. It was defying. It was a close splash toward the steps. Seth said something I couldn't understand. At the top of the stairs, he fumbled with the keys. He grew up in New Orleans, where you locked the door when you left, even in the middle of no crime. Nowhere old habits die hard. Something moved in the corner of my eye. I looked back and down. I might have gasped. I'm not really sure. At some point, I became aware of Seth standing beside me. I looked at him. He looked like I felt. I began blinking. It's not a bear, is it? His head wobbled once. Left. Oh, left, right. No. What the hell is it? I don't know. He licked his lips. Beads of rain chasing one another down his face. His hair was in his eyes. I'll get the gun. He took a step backward, tugging my arm. The thing, whatever it was, stood between the trees behind the shed, massive and black and heaving. Formless in the rain haze, it staggered toward the house. It seemed to buckle over like a person punched it in the stomach. Then it stood erect and creeped forward. Yeah, I'll be kind of terrified too if I saw something like that. But anyway, I could not get my mind around what I was seeing. It was tall. Water dripped from matted brown fur so dark it was almost black. Perched atop what might have been massive shoulders was what seemed to be a small head. A head, shoulders normal enough, right? But the limbs were there more than there should be. 4 long legs, a tangle of arms. I could smell the thing, a nasty, wet zoo aroma lurking just beneath the clean scent of the rain. Oh yeah, I can imagine that bad smelling animal. Kind of like wet dog, but anyway. I heard Seth in the bedroom cracking the barrel, sliding shells into place. I stepped back out of the rain. Lightning ripped through the air. I winced, blinked, howling. The thing rushed the house. 1 second after I slammed the door, the thing struck the siding that skirted the pylons. Since we got the place 5 years ago, Seth talked about converting the space into a work shed or a storage room or a playroom for Jacob. He never got past talk, and it remained dirt and dead leaves down there. The skirting was little more than garden lattice. The thing tore through it with ease. Seth stomped into the living room, gun raised, eyes wild. It's under the house. I said. The thing screamed again. I jumped. Seth tensed, pointed the gun at the floor. I touched his arm. No! This close to the source, without the wind and the rain between us, the sound of its raised voice was like nothing I ever heard. It sounded like fear and pain and teeth. That doesn't make sense. But there it is. What the hell is it? I sounded like a broken record. I'll be too if I kept hearing something. But anyway. And that's how it was for a while. Seth with the gun pacing, the rain on the windows, the thunder and the lightning, the thing beneath the house moaning and screaming, and then falling silent for long stretches of 20-30 minutes. Seth pacing, saying he was going to go down there and shoot it. Me telling him not to, grabbing him, telling him to put down the gun and sit down. It just wants out of the rain, I said at some point after the electricity had flickered into darkness. His back to me, Seth stood framed in the window. Lightning flashed. He was a gun-toting shadow. It leave when it stops. Yeah, it would leave if you just leave him alone. Good Lord, he's trying to find cover. You might be right, he said, stepping away from the window. Setting aside the gun, he sank into the couch beside me, slid his arm around me. The thing moaned. Sounds hurt. I think it is. Hopefully it'll die down there, he said smirkily. Man, I love that smirk. I'm sure we can make a few bucks off the Mothman's corpse. Sell it on eBay or something. Mothman? You call this thing the Mothman and it's a Bigfoot. Good Lord almighty. Get on coast to coast at least. I don't think it's a Mothman, I said. There was no humor in my voice. It didn't have wings. Yeah, Mothman would have wings. I thought of the confused jumble of limbs. I don't think it did. Maybe it's a drunk kid in a bear suit. I might have laughed. I don't remember. Thunder, lightning, rain, the thing screaming every 15 or so minutes, falling into a pattern, intensifying like the storm. Thunder above, thunder below. Eventually Seth rose, picked up the gun, resumed pacing. I nodded off once or twice, snapped awake each time the thing under the house cried out. Seth stomped the floor and screamed for it to shut up. Lather, rinse, repeat. The screams stopped when the silence held for an hour. Then, too, we figured the wounded, whatever it was, had died. We thought we heard a faint mooning, a whimpering. We weren't sure. I closed my eyes. Oh, crap, Seth's voice wakened me, vibrating the lamp on the end table, the glasses in the kitchen cabinet, everything vibrating. I opened my eyes. The world rattled. A wall of sound swelled, crashing and churning. I had time to note 2 things. The rain had stopped. The sun has risen. Then the mudslide slammed into the back of the house. It was as if thunder had come down from the sky and swallowed us. A black curtain was drawn over the front of the house, blotting out the dawn. I felt Seth's hand on my arm. Then the world slid, creaking and snapping into darkness. I spun and rolled, was slammed against and slammed upon. I came to rest on my side, mud and debris pressing down upon me. I gasped and wept and struggled to move. For a long time there was silence. Then the sound of shifting wreckage. Strong arms pulled aside the section of wall, pinning me to the ground. I blinked into the early morning light. The thing stood over me. I was right about the massive shoulders and the fur and the small head. Wrong about the rest. It had 2 thick arms and 2 long legs. Long fur, matted and mud smeared, covered most of its body. Its chest and biceps were bare, the brown skin covered in ornate and symmetrical scars. Its face was an ape's face. Its cheeks and forehead were all also scarred. Its eyes were small and wise. It pursued, its lips blowing once, cheeks puffing out, boof, uttering dismissive. Looking away from me, it tore through the wreckage. I wish I could say that I could call for Seth, that I looked for him. I can't. I didn't. I watched this massive creature sift through the dripping remains of the house until it found what it was looking for. When it pulled the other creature from the debris, I understood. 4 legs, a tangle of arms, not 1 but 2 huddling against the rain. It's what you did in situations like that. You huddled. He not. It knelt before his fallen mate. She held something to her chest. He eased it free, pink skin and black down, small limbs twitching. It cried out, its tiny fingers closing around its father's fur. The big male placed the child upon one of its massive shoulders. It held fast, its small hands clutching its father's thick fur. Gathering its dead mate into its arms, the big male stood. I watched it leave, watched its large footprints in the dirt filled with muddy rainwater. It didn't look back. It didn't take me long to find Seth. He was cold and still. I wasn't strong enough to put the section of roof from him. Collapsing onto my knees, I wept. When I could weep no more, I screamed. When I could scream no more, I rose to my feet and, turning my back to the scattered remains of our home, stumbled down the hill. There was a lot of road between me and Jacob. I didn't look back. Alright guys, that was the end of that chapter. Don't forget to like this video first of all. If you guys want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. And this has been another successful installment of the Tin Man Collection channel. I'm Jeffrey the Tin Man Taylor. Sayonara.